Hare
Krishna.
Okay, let's start off. 4.29.85 Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pavasati Deshitarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from 4.29.85 Adhyatma Paroksham Idam
Adhyatma
idam
Mayadigatam
Mayadigatam Adbhutam
Evam Striyas Sramaha Pumshash
Evam Striyaha Samaha Pumsa
Tinna Mutra Cha Samsayaha.
Chinna Mutra Cha Sansayaha.
Somebody like to read, please?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, I will read.
Please read, Prabhu.
The allegory of King Puranjana, described herein according to the authority, was heard by me from my spiritual master, and it is full of spiritual knowledge. If one can understand the purpose of this allegory, he will certainly be relieved from the bodily conception and will clearly understand life after death. Although one may not understand what transmigration of the soul actually is, one can fully understand by studying this narration. Purport. The word striyaha means along with wife is significant. The male and female living together constitute the sum and substance of the material existence. The attraction between male and female in this material world is very strong. In all species of life, the attraction between male and female is a basic principle of life. The same principle of intermingling is also in human society, but is in a regulative form. Material existence means living together as male and female and being attracted by one another. However, when one fully understands spiritual life, his attraction for the opposite sex is completely vanquished. By such attraction, one became overly attached to the material world. It is a hard knot within the heart. Punsa striya mithuni bhava etam tayo mitho hrudaya granthi ahu ataho gruha kshetra sutapta vito janasya mohaya ahang mamati. Bhagavatam 5:5-8. Everyone comes to this material world attracted to sense gratification. And the hard not sense gratification is attraction between male and female. By this attraction, one becomes overly attached to the material world in terms of griha, kshetra, shruta, atha, and vitta. That is home, land, children, friend, money, and so forth. Thus, one becomes entangled in the bodily conception of I and mine. However, if one understands the story of King Puranjana and understand how by sexual attraction Puranjan became a female in his next life, one will also understand the process of transmigration. Special note, according to Vijayadhwaja Tirtha, who belonged to the Madhvacharya Sampradaya, the first two of the following verses appear after verse 45 of this chapter. And the remaining two verses appear after verse 79. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you, Dandavat Pranam.
Please go ahead and explain a bit about your realizations.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, you...
Tell me,
I could
Prabhu.
not...
Can you speak a little bit about your realization?
Okay, Prabhuji. Sure, Prabhuji. So here, this is to be the Falastuti. Here it is mentioned in this verse, like as this is the ending of the story of King Puranjana. So in this story, here Narad Muni is mentioned about this story, and at the end here it is the Falastruti. Falastruti means if somebody understand this very perfectly and hear this story, so what benefit it will get in this verse, it is been mentioned. So although one may not understand perfectly about the transmigration of the soul actually, but by one can fully understand by studying this narration how the soul is getting another body from this allegory. And here Prabhupada in this purport is putting the material natures, which is the basic principle of material nature, and which is the opposite attraction. And he has quoted this verse also from the coming chapter 5.5.8 of King Rishabdev is giving teachings to his 100 sons. It is the verse who is quoting here, and that is the basic principle, and attracted by the desire of lust. And also the living entity becomes started forgetting his own identity, own relationship, and actual constitutional position. And living entity, he forget his real position and think himself I and mine. He thinks that I am the body, and due to the bodily conception of life, the living entity thinks that aham mama iti. Because he thinks that I am this body. So whatever is related to this body, he thinks it is mine, and whatever is related to his family's body or society, all things is connected to with I and mine. So I is a circle, and the next circle is mine, and the next circle is whatever is connected to me and mine, they are mine. So it is like a selfishness and self-centeredness, and which is the like root of all trouble. Being and somebody not understanding the conception of life and not realizing the self, not understanding the who actually one is. So without proper understanding, the living entity life after life she goes through this false conception of understanding, and due to that, living entity entangled with this material world, which the basic attraction is the sex, punsa striya mithuni bhava maitam. This world is called maithuna agar. So maithuna agar means the agar means it is the store or bhandar or the storehouse. So there is nothing in this world other than this basic principle of maithuna. So I heard one lecture where I was listening to one sannyasi of ISKCON. So he was saying that if actually there will be a rule over the world, that there will be no marriage in the material world, or nobody can be attracted to opposite gender. If somebody will be that, there will be a big punishment. So there will be all industry, all factories, whatever things are running, everything will be stopped. Entire movement of the material world will be stopped because there will be no marriage or no attraction officially to the opposite gender. So the point is, everything is running because of this attraction to opposite gender. So this is Prabhuji my understanding on this purport. You can add, or anybody have anything can add to anything on understanding of this
Thank you.
purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. I think you capture the essence pretty well in covering all the points that Prabhupada has stressed on. Would anybody else like to add, please?
Beautiful points, Prabhuji. Just a couple leelas that come to my mind while Prabhuji was explaining. One was Indradevji. This attraction was strong that Indradevta, who is a very big devotee of Krishna, also fell into prey, became a pig. And when he was asked to go back, he does not want to go back and decide, I'm the master of my family. So we can imagine how strong it is that even Indra said that this is my family and I do know and I cannot leave my family, I have responsibility. And on the other side, the other pastime that came to my mind was gopis. We think about gopis. There was in Krishna book, there's a chapter where I think the chapter name is gopis getting attracted by Krishna's flute, where they are saying they are being jealous through the deer. So when the deer hears Krishna's flute, they and their husband both serve Krishna together by literally coming close to Krishna and raising their ear to listen to his flute, and their eyes are shedding tear. But them, when they wanted to hear the flute, their husbands do not allow them. So it was very eye-opening to see that, how devotees, everything is Krishna for them. There was no sparth, in the sense, even though the family was there, even though they were not being, I won't say they were not being supported, but at the same time, some of the gopis were not fully supported to serve Krishna. Yet they knew that they are doing the needful, and the life they led was like having an extramarital relationship. So, and one of the lecture I was hearing from Keshavan Prabhuji was the headline is Krishna ko sabse badi chid swarth se hai. So he explained in that how Kam Vasna is another name for lust of lobh, and there is no other way of getting rid of it other than realizing that we are sick, that we have this disease. Until and unless he said we will not realize that we have this disease of I and mine, my family, my guru should bless me, I am reading the books, I should be blessed in devotional service. Everything is around me and I. Once we realize, the first step will be realizing this disease that we are sick, and then the second step will be working towards that sickness, in the sense realizing your goal, that we wanted to get to a goal, and then what was he saying? understanding that I have this goal and working towards the goal in the sense whatever is favorable towards that goal, I'll work towards it, and whatever is not, I'll take it as part of my duty and we go with it. Just wanted to add few. That's all, Prabhuji. Please go ahead and comment.
Sure, thank you, Mataji. I think we've covered all the points. Would anybody else like to add something? I think one thing I'd like to add, taking one line from what you said, is how close we are to. So then the closeness is to what? And if we are closer to material things, then we are going further away from Krishna, and then we are going off center. And if we keep Krishna in the center, we're very close to Krishna, and then we are not attracted so much to the material things. So then this is one way of balancing, always to see how far or how close we are, and that then helps keep the balance of where we need to be. And again, in chapter 6, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, what is called renunciation, you should know to be the same as yoga, or linking oneself to be supreme. One can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. So then Krishna himself says in the beginning of 6th chapter that the process of yoga, or linking oneself with the supreme, comes when, yes, you do the duty, but with renunciation. And there is no thought of sense gratification. There's only work in Krishna consciousness, and all the results are given to Krishna, and there is only a service attitude in us. So, yeah, sure. Would anybody else like to add something? Else we can go on. Okay. Prabhupada says in the previous verse, last one, first two of the following verses appear after verse 45 of this chapter. The remaining two verses appear after verse 79. The next one says text 29. Are all of you getting text 29?
Yes, Prabhuji. 4.29a, 1a and 2a.
So I guess these are last two verses which probably Prabhupada has added later. Okay, so 4.29 text 29.1a, 2a. Sarvesham eva jantunam
Sarvesham meva jantunam
satatam deha posane
satatam deha posane
asti prajna samayata
asti prajna samayata
ko visheshas tada nirnam.
ko visheshas tada nirnam.
Labdvehante manushyattvam
Labdehante manushyattvam
hitva dehadi asadgraham.
hitva dehadi asatgraham.
Atmastriya vihayedam
Atmastraya vihayedam
jivatma savishishyate.
jivatma savishishyate.
Somebody like to read, please?
May I read, Prabhu, again? If you allow, I can continue.
Please. Sure.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
A desire to maintain body, wife, and children is also observed in animal society. The animal have full intelligence to manage such affair. If a human being is simply advanced in this respect, what is the difference between him and an animal? One should be very careful to understand that this human life is attained after many, many births in the evolutionary process. A learned man who gives off the bodily conception of life, both gross and subtle, will by the by the alignment of spiritual knowledge, become a prominent individual spiritual soul, as the Supreme Lord is also. Purport. It is said that a man is a rational animal. But from this verse, we can also understand that rationality exists even in animal life. Unless there is rationality, how can an animal maintain its body by working so hard? That the animal are not rational is untrue. The rationality, however, is not very advanced. In any case, we cannot deny them rationality. The point is that one should use one's reason to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead for the perfection of human life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Would you like to say something? Or
Yes, Prabhuji, I may like to tell.
Please.
So,
Please, Prabhu.
So this verse is actually added by Srila Prabhupada. This verse is quoted by Vijayadhwaja Tirtha, who belongs to Madhvacharya Sampradaya. So these two verses, he's purposely, it indicates the how valuable is human life. Durlabha Manava Janma Lavya Sansare, our Acharya, he says in Vaishnava Sang, Durlabha Manava Janma Lavya Sansare, Krishna na bhajin dukkha kahibu kahar. So if somebody is not done Krishna bhajan and is the rare form of human life, Durlabha Manava Janma, and so it is like animal. Ahara nidra bhaya maithunam cha samanametam pashubi narana. So, like according to Upanishad, it is the same between human being and animals. Both are eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So even Prabhupada is giving here maintaining body and wife and children is so also been observed in animal society. Like when we preaching or when we are approaching people, they say we are busy with maintaining family, we are busy with job, we are busy with other things, so we cannot do spiritual practice or chanting so much around 2 hours or 3 hours in a day, or reading 1 hour in a day, or doing our bhajan sadhana. We have no time. So it is very well related here. Prabhupada is giving this purport and these verses that even animal society, that the living entities are also maintaining their families, they are working hard, they are struggling to take care of their wife, children, and everything. So what does it make a big things that we are maintaining 1 child or 2 child nowadays, and we are so much busy that we have no time for understanding the self and understanding the Supreme Lord, which is our goal of life. So this way, the ahara nidra bhaya maithunam cha samanametam pashubi narana dharmena tesang adhiko vishesha dharmena hina pashubi saman. If somebody is not doing the dharma, which is loving, developing or loving to the Supreme Lord or serving the Lord, so that means the person, so-called human being, who is trying to progress his material comfort or material problem, trying to solve his material problem, it is nothing but an two-legged animals. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So, Prabhupada, I think it's a short purport where he is clearly again emphasizing the fact that animals also have attraction to family and they are rational. I mean, they would attack when attacked, or they would try to safeguard their territory or their family, and they would, yes, in the face of danger, they would try to run away. These are things that, even at a very common level, we do. then what's the difference between our behavior as animals and animals' behavior as animals? So our rational behavior has to raise up to the higher platform where we start questioning who we are and what causes us to have this material modes of nature, its impact on us, why there is happiness and sadness that come and go. So why this is happening, and unless we inquire, then realize who our true self are and attain a service attitude to the Lord by chanting of the holy names, then we never become more rational in our behavior. We would continue to be irrational. Hare Krishna. Would somebody else like to comment on that, please? Okay, we go on to the next verse. 4.29, text 29.1b. Bhakti Krishne Daya Jivesha
Bhakti Krishna Daya Jiveshva
Akanta Jnanam Atmani
Vaikuntha Jnanam Atmani
Yadi Syad Atmano Bhuyad
Yadi Syad Atmano Bhuyad
Apavargasatu Samsrite.
Apavargasatu Samsrite.
Somebody like to read?
I can read that, Prabhuji.
Sure, please.
Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada Ji ki jai. Translation. If a living entity is developed in Krishna consciousness and is merciful to others, and if his spiritual knowledge of self-realization is perfect, he will immediately attain liberation from the bondage of material existence. Purport. In this verse, the words Daya Jiveshu, meaning mercy to other living entities, indicate that the living entity must be merciful to other living entities if he wishes to make progress in self-realization. This means that he must preach this knowledge about perfecting himself and understanding his own position as an external servant of Krishna. Preaching this is showing real mercy to the living entities. Other type of humanitarian work may be temporarily beneficial for the body, but because a living entity is a spirit soul, ultimately one can show his real mercy only by revealing the knowledge of his spiritual existence. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Jivera Swarupaya Krishnera Nityadas. Every living entity is constitutionally a servant of Krishna. One should know that this fact perfectly and should preach this to mass of people. If one realizes that he is an eternal servant of Krishna but does not preach, his realization is imperfect. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur therefore sings, Dushta mana tumi kisera Vishnava, tumi kisera Vaishnava, Pratishtara tare nirjanare bharai, Tava Hari Nama Kevala Kitava. My dear mind, what kind of Vaishnava are you? Simply for false prestige, material reputation, you are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra in a solitary place. If in this way, people do not preach, are criticized. Hari Bol. These are many Vaishnavas. There are many Vaishnavas in Vrindavan who do not like preaching. They chiefly try to imitate Haridas Thakur. The actual result of their so-called chanting in a secluded place, however, is that they sleep and think of women and money. Similarly, one who simply engages in temple worship but does not see the interest of the mass or people or cannot recognize devotee is called Kanishta Acharyam Eva Harya Pujam Yah Shraddhaya Hate Natad Bhakteshu Chanyeshu Sa Bhaktya Prakriti Samrita. Bhagavatam 11.2.47. So just my getting out of this beautiful purport by Prabhupada is one of the qualities that Prabhupada mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, verse number 18 to 12. The first, that is called the crux of Bhagavad Gita, the first quality that he mentioned is humbleness, and the second one was ahimsa. So this is laying clearly to the fact that the living entity, once he's developing Krishna consciousness, he needs to be merciful. Merciful doesn't necessarily mean that that we do other humanitarian work like opening temple. The opening temple is in Krishna consciousness for sure, like serving others or helping others. Yes, that is a mode of goodness for sure. But our goal is not strictly following the mode of goodness. The goal is to serve Krishna, which is, Krishna says, every one of the only, he's Ananda Vigraha, one of the only sad thing that Krishna has is the struggling of the living entities. So in order to serve him, we need to take his sadness away. The master that we have, we need to make him happy, which is our goal. And to make him happy, we need to take his sadness away. And the way his sadness will be away when the living entities get back to Godhead. And hence the only purpose that we have here as per Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is preach Krishna consciousness. And that is the way we can show our mercy. And that's how we can see a lot of pure devotees or acharyas. They are very compassionate. Compassionate in the sense they are not just compassionate looking at the living entity struggle. They are very compassionate to preach. We have seen that through Prabhupada himself. He went to Western world, and there are so many rules and regulations as sannyasi that he had to leave. And the sole reason why he left those rules because compassion took over, and he wanted to preach Krishna consciousness. So we can see that from Prabhupada himself. And other point that stuck out is, if one realizes that he's a servant of Krishna and does not preach, his realization is imperfect. And then he's saying, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is reading that if I'm simply chanting Hare Krishna just to make myself elevated, I'm still at the Kanishta Adhikari level. Why? Because I'm not seeing others as living entity. I'm not seeing others struggling the same way I was. And if that is the case, I'm still at the Kanishta Adhikari level, because if we need to get up, we need to help everyone around us to chant so that Krishna conscious movement can spread on a holistic platform. That's what I'm getting out of this book. Thank you, Ji. Please go ahead and comment.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Would anybody else like to add to that, please?
Hare Krishna. All devotees. Here actually, if you see the purport, then we can see that Prabhupada is very clearly stating how a devotee in our Sampradaya or ISKCON Sampradaya should be. You cannot just think about being some Babaji in Vrindavan. This is what is being clearly told over here. Okay. So whichever Sampradaya we are there, we have to imbibe the mood of that Sampradaya. Mood of the Sampradaya means mood of the Parampara. When we try to understand the mood and the vision of the Parampara, then it becomes very easy and it becomes very natural to accept the bhakti process involved in it. Whereas in our case, it's Krishna consciousness. So becoming Krishna conscious becomes very natural and not just mere practices of some rules and regulations. So understanding what is the main mood of our acharyas is compassion, and what is the true compassion is being again spoken about. This goes very much in the same line of what Prabhupada had given in the purport in the Bhagavad Gita, that what is the big deal in saving a dress of a drowning person unless you are saving the person himself. So similarly, this is also the same thing being spoken over here, that real mercy is actually when you show compassion for the soul. So yes, devotees in this line will at least understand how really compassionate our acharyas were there. And being compassionate doesn't mean just speaking very politely and softly. When the time comes, uh, the acharya may speak strong words, but the intention is very clear. The strong words are the words which may strike us like thunderbolt for a conditioned living entity to shake the person from his comfort zone. It's a tendency that we become lukewarm and sit in our comfort zone, and we think that this is what is bhakti. It is very easy to become illusioned, like, okay, I do my 16 rounds of chanting and I do a little bit of reading, and then okay, once in a week I attend a satsang and then I go to a temple. No, this is just a fraction of bhakti what we think it. The real thing is actually we should be so much overwhelmed with the love for Krishna that we cannot stand that people around us are not able to take up this process. Like we should feel that really there is a dire need by each and every person, and we act like a genuine postman trying to deliver this message to everybody, and of course leave the decision to them to whether to take it up. So presently we may not be doing it, but we should have that intense desire that and frustration that we are not able to do it. So the tendency of being so much satisfied in whatever is happening. Yes, we are all having so much of responsibility and duty. We are caught up because of our karma in so many things. We are caught up by our own what you can say professional positions, in our family positions, and we may find very little time, but that desire is very important. And then contemplating on how really we can extend this mercy to people. So it is very important. Like we all devotees have been by Srila Prabhupada's mercy and mercy of all the Vaishnavas and Madhusev Prabhu's strong efforts. We are all together here. We are coming together and trying our best to read and understand Srila Prabhupada's efforts. But it also very become important that Janma Sarthak Kari and Kara Parupkara. And this is simultaneous process. It's not that we'll take the entire life and many lives. It may take many lives for us to completely purify and sanctify ourselves. So the sloka really means simultaneous action actually. So put your best efforts to really take up Krishna consciousness seriously, always trying to think about Krishna and always trying to bring these living souls to the movement, to bring them to the shelter of Srila Prabhupada and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because that is the reason why the advent of Lord Chaitanya is. That is the reason why Srila Prabhupada endeavored so much of effort. It was not just to make some institution. So whenever we are getting time, whenever the option, we have to think, oh, what is our mood of our acharyas? What was there in it that they made these decisions to take up so much of hard work? Maybe they took up so much of efforts, but why they did so much of effort? For whom? What is that made them so much passionate? You can say the spiritual passion behind putting so much of efforts and time to get the living entities, because they could not rest in peace seeing people are okay in their own worlds. It just gives them so much of restlessness that people are suffering. So much difference. We cannot see people suffering. We can see people suffering only when they are suffering on a physical platform. So it really requires the spiritual eyes and the mood of the acharyas to see that they are really suffering. So only each of our sampradayas have their mood, okay, their approach. So ours is a sampradaya where it has been always preaching is the essence over here. Like preaching has always been the forefront. So that's how our Bhaktivinoda Thakur is. That's how Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is. That is how our beloved Srila Prabhupada is. So in whatever small way, middle way, big way, we can contribute. Of course, we cannot be a hypocrite. We need to be practicing our sadhana very strongly. At the same time, finding time and ideas to how to bring more and more people, more and more interested people, actually, rather not just bringing people. Quantity is not important. Trying to bring really people who are really in need or in search of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Shall you read?
Yes, Prabhu.
4.29, text 29.2b. I think that is the last verse for this chapter. We can read that and close for today. Adristam drishtvam langshet
Drishtam
bhutam swapnavad anyata
Bhutam Swapnavad
bhutam bhavad bhavishyascha
Bhutam bhavat bhavishyasya
Suptam sarvaraho raha. Suptam sarvaraho raha.
sarvaraho
Supitam Sarvaraho Raha.
Somebody like to read that? Translation and purport, please.
May I read, Prabhuji?
Please, Prabhu.
If nobody, I
You can read, Prabhu. Also, I can read too. I mean, I just asked.
fine, Prabhu. Allow me, I will read.
Please, Prabhu.
May I read them, Prabhuji?
Okay, Prabhuji.
I read.
We like to hear you. Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Translation purport by Sri Prabhupada. Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Everything happening within time, which consists of past, present, and future, is merely a dream. That is secret understanding in all Vedic literature. Purport. Factually, all of material existence is only a dream. Yes, there is no question of past, present, or future. Persons who are addicted to karma, karmakand, vikaras, which means working for future happiness through figurative activities, are also dreaming. Similarly, past happiness and present happiness are merely dreams. Actual reality is Krishna and services to Krishna, which can save us from the clutches of Maya. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 7.14, Mam ev ya prapadante Maya etam tanjite. Those who surrender unto me can easily cross beyond my illusory energy. Thus ends the Bhagavad Bhaktivedanta purport of 29th chapter, Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Talks between Narada and King Chaitanya. So last, well, what I can understand is really having very deep meanings and conveying that everything is a dream. What we think, what we saw in the past, what we're going to see in the future. And those who are believing in Karmakanda activities to get the pleasure, but this is also a dreaming, because all these are in the mind, it's not actually happening. And those who are, these are all the activities of Maya, the power of the Krishna, that we are thinking that this is what is happening. While actually it is nothing is happening. Only thing reality is the Krishna. That in case we have the blessings of Krishna, everything will go well. Otherwise, all will remain in the Maya. All that. That is probably my realization of this thing. Of course, you can throw your light on this more. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Would somebody else like to add to that, please? I think again here Prabhupada is saying that Devi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Eva Ye Prapadyante Mayam Etam Tarantite. Those who clutches of Maya. So again, it is something that is from Krishna, and the only way we can get away from the clutches of Maya is by surrendering unto the Lord. So that the secret understanding of all Vedic literature, and that's what Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, is that the only way to get out of this material repeated birth and death is by surrendering unto Krishna and rendering service unto him. And multiple examples, like the only way we can put away the discovering where we are like illusion is by repeatedly chanting the holy name, so that slowly we become purified and see our true constitutional position. And Krishna himself says there's not something that will happen immediately. Of course, it depends on the level of surrender. If we are attached too much to the material world, and if we have been conditioned by repeated birth and our the amount of karma that you've accumulated, then it is going to take a long time. One has to be patient and one cannot be frustrated. One has to humbly surrender and keep chanting the holy names to be purified. Pray to the Lord and the spiritual master that we will be purified, and we have to be patient. That is very, very important. And again and again, in, for example, the beginning of chapter 6, one who is unattached to the fruits of work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life. Not he, and he is a true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty. So again, the concept of renouncement is not one who performs no duty, but one who does the duty with unattachment, and that itself is like being in the renounced order of life. And again, the Lord says a person is said to be elevated in yoga when having renounced all material desires. He neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities. So again and again, yoga, which is union with the Supreme, is, I think, and the only way is by being unattached to the work, purify ourselves, and then slowly raise to the level of, once we know our true constitutional position, then raise to the level of bhakti. So that's very, very important in terms of practice, and which is what again Narada Muni is telling King Prachina Barhis that you are too much attached to this the concept of wife, family, and material attachment, and then which is why you are getting continuously entangled. As one time you're a king Puranjana, next time you're born as a lady, and this is why these things are happening by an allegory, and it's something that we need to understand and apply to our lives too. Hare Krishna. Would anybody else like to add to that, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, here like the dream, I like to say it is mentioned that material life, this is actually a dream. So working for future happiness through fruitive activities, also it is a dreaming. Similarly, past happiness and present happiness are merely a dream. The real awakening position, that is why it is called, Prabhupada also mentioned many times, spiritual awakening, spiritual realization, understanding the constitutional position. So when the living entity is understand the self and understand the relationship with the Supreme Lord and engage in the service of the Lord, Risikena Risikese Sevanam, when this happens. And in this life also, when one realizes this, then one comes out from the dream. And living in the platform of dream means it is a material conception of life or material life where somebody is thinking of me and mine and aham mama iti. So this is what Prabhuji I just wanted to comment.
Sure. Thank you, Prabhu. I think, Prabhupada clearly says here the actual reality is Krishna. So dream means it's not about being false, but being entangled in the material world and repeatedly subjected to the dualities. So we think we are happy, but that doesn't last. And then there is unhappiness. So sometimes we're unhappy, sometimes we're happy. So that is what a dream state is, where it's, are we awake or are we actually sleeping? And sleeping again, yeah, so that verse again happens that he who is, for who is fully aware, it is the day, and for that person who is entangled in the material world, it is the night. Because for him, there is no concept of devotional service. So the person who is fully entangled, for him is things like devotional service or devotion to the Lord is the night time. And he probably has no concept of that, and even if explained, has no conception of what is devotional service. Hare Krishna. Would somebody else like to say something? Else we could stop for the day.
Hare Krishna. So,
Prabhu.
you can also understand this when Prabhupada is saying this habit of living on a materialistic platform is a dreaming condition, because a dream is always a temporary state and a dream is never a reality. So when we try to think that this material existence is our true existence, so it is like a dream, because this material existence is not an eternal existence. Everybody will be at one point of the time have to leave their body, leave their situation, and they may have to go to any part of the universe or some other universe, and again their existence can come into picture. So it is such a precarious situation, and like a dream, many times we don't even remember the dream. So for so much we are endeavoring to have a beautiful material existence in this present life, is for such a temporary thing, which we know that which we come to know very late, and unless we are in situated in Krishna consciousness, that we are actually running after a waste endeavor. So definitely, if we become Krishna conscious, then we immediately understand that this material existence that we are leading is like a dream or going out for a mirage in a desert. And then we can curtail these endeavors and put the efforts in our right direction. So many places, this habit of putting so much of efforts for material existence is compared to like a dreaming state. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So we can close for the day. It's about 9:50 now. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam.
Dandar Pranam, all devotees.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Dandar Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Dandavat Pranam to all devotees.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Dandar Pranam
Krishna.
ji.
Dandar Pranam. Hare
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.